Fight forever. Many a match has received this chant, but all those fans out there who are screaming this from the stands, well, I just have to say, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. As there are many feuds out there that seem like they keep on going. But for now, they're going to be the topic of this episode. Because today... Alright, allow me to start by saying that this is a list of feuds that I personally am just tired of seeing, and that it's not necessarily about having the most amount of matches. In fact, our first entry really doesn't have many at all, but we'll get to that in a bit. This video is just my own personal opinion, but what's your opinion about feuds that you're tired of? Let me know down in the comments section. And while you're there, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button as well as the like button, because I could always do with more of that. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into the list. Okay, so to start things off, it's all about quality over quantity. And in this case, we really don't have much of either. Okay, these two haven't gone against each other all that much, only competing one-on-one against each other in 3 matches, as well as both being in the same Royal Rumble in 2017. However, even though they've only faced off a few times, every single one of those matches has been a total snooze fest. As someone who actually likes wrestling in my wrestling matches, whenever Brock Lesnar takes on Bill Goldberg, they prove that they just can't deliver the goods, with WrestleMania 20 in particular being the most disappointing match out of their entire series, which I went in depth about over on Usos channel, so you should check that video out if you haven't already. Now, when we flash forward to their modern matches, it's not like adding 12 years was going to improve their abilities in the ring, which was made evident by their WrestleMania 33 match, which had me begging for at least 5 moves of doom. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like they're ever going to have a match again, but if they do, just know that I'll be getting a snack or going to the bathroom somewhere, just waiting for their 3-minute match to be over with. And even if you personally like hoss fights, which there's nothing wrong with that, I feel like you gotta admit that these two don't even do that style all that well. As I think we can all agree that Stan Hansen vs. Vader, this is not. Alright, in case you were wondering, yes, there are going to be some names here that repeat. But what can I say, I get tired of some guys faster than others. Alright, I know there are a lot of people who are extremely psyched to see Roman Reigns take on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 38. And while they do know that these two have wrestled each other at WrestleMania specifically multiple times, they justify their passion by saying, well, at least this time the heel-face dynamic has been switched and it's title for title. But for me, that doesn't make a lick of difference. Starting in 2015, one or both of these men have been in the main event of every single WrestleMania, except for 35 of course. And if they do indeed go on last at WrestleMania 38, this would be the 3rd WrestleMania main event that had these two wrestling each other, something that has never been done before. Even The Rock and Stone Cold's 3rd WrestleMania match wasn't the main event. Just think about that for a second. And this isn't even counting all of their matches that they had outside of the show of shows. And while that does only add up to 10 total, I still have to ask, out of all their bouts, have you ever seen one that made you demand more? Has any of them been that epic that you just couldn't get enough of it? And for those of you who are going to try and defend it by saying, what can WWE do? They don't have any other stars. Are you forgetting that Roman Reigns wasn't over for years and that people just eventually accepted him as a main event talent because they were just tired of fighting it? At some point in time, you have to realize that this is putting the cart before the horse. It's not that they're booking them as main eventers because they have no other option. It's that they have no other option because they keep booking these two in the main event. And are we all forgetting that we just got this match at Crown Jewel? First, I want to say that I do like Randy Orton, but I don't think that his slow, methodical style really is the best fit for Sheamus, as I think a faster, more hard-hitting wrestler would make each of them more entertaining. But not only do I think that this isn't really an interesting feud, but these two have also wrestled each other a lot, and I do mean a lot, as Sheamus is Randy Orton's 3rd most frequent opponent, with Triple H being number 2, and number 1, well, we'll get to that later on. Finally, we're getting into some big boy numbers, as Randy Orton and Sheamus have wrestled each other to some capacity 138 times as of this recording. Now, their most recent one-on-one bout was way back in 2015, but if we're looking at their past exchanges, then a particularly noteworthy bout would have to be their match after WrestleMania 29, which happened on an episode of Monday Night Raw. At the show, the crowd was one of the most lively and vocal audiences that WWE ever had, and they sure let it be known to everybody what they thought. And when it came to the match between Randy Orton and Sheamus, well, they couldn't have been less interested, as they were openly cheering and chanting for pretty much everyone except for the guys having the match. And come to think about it, this might have been the best pop of JBL's entire career. As a result of this, Randy Orton was getting noticeably angry at the fans for their disinterest. But all in all, that pretty much sums up how I feel about every time these two go at it. Not once has Randy Orton versus Sheamus ever felt special or important or like something I've wanted to watch, but yet they just keep on wrestling each other for some reason. And while it has been 7 years since they had a one-on-one, I just want to make sure that that number keeps on growing. I mean, that crowd was so bored they were chanting for Bradshaw. Bradshaw! Hide your wives, it's Edge. Also hide the TV if he's going against John Cena, because I'm not interested in watching. Truth be told, I've never been much of an Edge head, and his seemingly never-ending feud with John Cena is a major reason for it. And I know there are a lot of fans out there who grew up with this and are quite fond of their feud, but just allow me to point out that South Park took shots at their rivalry. As a whole, their entire program, along with Edge's push to the top right after we got out of Triple H's Reign of Terror, was a major turnoff to WWE for me. And my interest in the product really wouldn't come back until CM Punk and his infamous pipe bomb. And thankfully, by then, both men have seemed to have moved on, since their last one-on-one bout happened in September of 2010. Following that, with Edge seemingly retired and John Cena becoming a part-timer, I figured I was safe from ever having to watch this match again. But then of course, Edge would make his return, and even though they've had 175 matches already, it just goes to show that you can never completely rule out the possibility of them having one more match. And surprisingly, John Cena is the Rated R Superstar's second most frequent opponent, with Matt Hardy being third and Jeff Hardy taking the top spot. Who saw that coming? Okay, so to be clear, this list isn't just about matches that I don't like, as there are some that I really do enjoy, they just gave me way too much of it. This matchup just proves that you can indeed have too much of a good thing, as really great tag team wrestling is few and far between in WWE. So when you finally get some of it, it feels like an oasis in the desert. But in the case of the Usos and the New Day, eventually, instead of feeling like an oasis, it rather felt like you just started walking straight into the ocean. Now, just to put this in context, as of this recording, one of the Usos has gone against one of the members of the New Day at least 205 times. And you know there is no way WWE isn't going to book this match again somewhere down the line. And while many fans do rightfully complain that Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are monopolizing the world titles in WWE, not too many people are commenting about how the New Day and the Usos pretty much treat the tag team titles like it's theirs to lose. Oh, but if you thought that this was going to be the New Day's most frequent opponent, well, we're not done yet. Okay, I want to start by saying that I'm a huge Cesaro fan. As far as I'm concerned, the Cesaro section starts and ends with me. But the reason why this entry is on this list is because it reminds me of three crucial things. Number one, every time I see him going against a New Day, it's just another reminder that he's never going to be pushed as a solo star, since he hasn't won a singles championship in WWE since 2012? That's 10 years ago! And secondly, throughout this past decade, he just keeps being shoved into hodgepodge tag teams, another practice that I don't particularly care for. And third, with all of his partners from Tyson Kidd to Sheamus to Nakamura, why does it always have to be the New Day that he keeps going against? Alright, so this is a different kind of entry. While it does feature the tag team faction of the New Day, it also features just Cesaro and whatever partner he may happen to have at that particular moment. And when we look back at all the different matches that Cesaro has had against the New Day, it totals up 217. And I'm sure it's just a matter of time before they shove him into another hodgepodge tag team and he's going right back at it with the New Day yet again. By the way, the most recent time we had this match is when the New Day took on Cesaro, Sheamus, and Shinsuke Nakamura on an episode of Friday Night SmackDown on October 16th, 2020. And this just has me asking, who's Cesaro's next partner going to be? Is it going to be Mansoor? Is it going to be Ricochet? Who knows? But whatever the case, I'm sure they'll be going against the New Day in no time. And now we get to the top entry on this list. And yes, Randy Orton and John Cena are both each other's most frequent opponent. I'm sure many of you saw this coming, as the match that I'm truly sick and tired of seeing the most is John Cena versus Randy Orton. And I'm also sure that no one's going to be shocked to find out that in some way, shape, or form, these two men have gone at it 257 times. While there is something to say about nostalgia and throwing back, personally, I never ever want to see the Doctor of Thugonomics take on the Viper in any capacity ever again. And what makes this really weird is that in the beginning of their career on the WWE main roster, I was full of anticipation for finally seeing these two get to wrestle each other, which they did for the first time on the Eddie Guerrero tribute show. This of course isn't counting the Royal Rumble, tag team matches, or their time in Ohio Valley Wrestling. And as for their most recent one-on-one encounter, well, that was at a house show on February 11, 2017, with various tag team matches and the Royal Rumble in 2018 happening since. All in all, this feud tops the list not just because it happened the most times, but also because it encompasses everything else that I have a problem with for all the other entries in this video. It's too much of a good thing, it over-monopolized the main event, and it kept too many other wrestlers out of the spotlight. So please WWE, never have John Cena go against Randy Orton ever again. And I don't mean just in wrestling, I mean in everything. I don't want to see them have a cook-off, I don't want to see them playing video games against each other, I don't even want them to have a staring contest. Furthermore, something else that I think is weird is that out of all the times these two have wrestled each other, not once was it the main event of WrestleMania, as you would think that WWE would save these two marquee stars for that at least once, right? Well, there you go, the feuds I'm most tired of seeing in WWE. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments, and please make sure you give this video a like as well as subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, Dave knows.